Let's continue with the presentation of the clock analogy. On the right side of this video, a 4-stringed instrument is shown that has frets and uses the tuning G, C, E, A. It will be used to show how the clock analogy helps to become familiar with an instrument, but any other instrument that uses strings and frets could be used. The first thing we will do is to describe the instrument by expressing its tuning in terms of the hours corresponding to these notes on the clock face and above the nut. As we did for the scales, we will trace the tuning of the instrument on the clock face. Note that just as for the C major scale, this trace is symmetrical around the axis passing through the notes G sharp and D. As an example of the usefulness of the clock analogy, let us consider the process of determining all the locations of the note B on the fretboard of the instrument. To locate this note on the 4th string, we reason as follows. Since the G note of tuning of this 4th string corresponds to the 7th hour and the note B to the 11th hour, we must advance 4 hours from the note G to the note B, that is to say that the note B is located on the 4th fret of the 4th string. The location of this note on the rest of the strings is obtained by applying the same reasoning. The result is as follows. Mastery of the technique described here is crucial. When we study the ukulele fretboard and the Venezuelan cuatro fretboard, we will make extensive use of it, which will reinforce your learning. The scales are the basis on which the melody and its harmonization are created. We will study them in detail in other videos. So far we have only dealt with the C major scale, and next we will show its fingering on the instrument we are considering. This is a simple task, since we already know the notes that constitute it, and how to locate any note on the fingerboard of the instrument. Here is the result. Note that the notes produced by the open strings of the instrument are part of the C major scale, so this instrument lends itself to the execution of melodies in the key of C major. Considering the yellow markings for the tuning of the strings, it is easy to verify that the C, F, and G major chords, which together harmonize all the notes of the C major scale, can be fingered as follows. This is a good example of the power and convenience of the clock analogy. C major chord, G major chord, F major chord. It is easy to remember the set of C, F, and G major chords, since it is symmetrical with respect to the axis that passes through the center of the face of the clock and the mark of the note C, the 0 hour. Next, we will give 2 simple examples of progressions that use these chords. The first is one of the simplest possible. It starts from the tonic chord towards the dominant chord and returns to the tonic chord. The second example is the 1st, 4th, 5th, 1st chord progression, one of the most widely used progressions in popular music. The jump to the F major chord implies not only a reduction of one tone in the intervals of the notes of the C major chord to their corresponding ones in the G chord, but also the F chord retains the C tonic. This softens the transition to the G major chord. This concludes the presentation of the clock analogy. 2 facts make it a very convenient aid. We are very familiar with the clock face and we are used to doing time calculations in our mind. In other videos, we will give detailed explanations of its application to the study of other aspects of music theory. Thank you very much for watching this video. It is hoped that, in conjunction with the previous one, it will motivate you to make extensive use of the clock analogy.